Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and I've got a tremendous broadcast for you today. $1 million. Pay attention. $1 million. When somebody says $1 million, everybody pays attention. Well, let me tell you what. My guest today, Rob Gehring from Fixed Performance, he claims, and we're going to talk about this, he claims he can improve almost any dealership in the world $1 million a year net increase. Now, Rob, that's kind of far out there. Can you back that up?
Well, we do it all the time, but even if it was half that, would that help you? If it was 250 grand, would it help you? And most of the time, if it was 50,000, would it help you? I think so many times we get caught up in the way we do things. And a few small changes here and there can really add up to huge improvements. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist. It just takes someone with the experience that's been there and done that. And that's what our team is. We're up to something like 20 folks employed with 7 states. And we took that started 20 years ago, Jim,
Oh.
with nothing. Not I didn't even have a laptop back then.
I can relate to that. Rob, 40 years ago, I drove into Atlanta in a buy here, pay here car with my mattresses tied to the roof. If
That's
you could
right.
imagine. So, I love entrepreneurial stories where we started out here and we ended up there, but $1 million. Now, you say that. How do you do that?
Well, let's start with warranty.
Okay.
If there's one common thing car dealerships dislike, I would use the word hate. It's warranty work. And
Okay.
if you look at that, Jim, and you say, well, why do you dislike warranty work? The manufacturer says, oh, yeah, retail might take 2 hours to do that repair. We'll pay you 1.2 and you're going to like it. or or if a cost, like you might get cost times 190 for a part, but the warranty says, oh, that's crazy, we'll give you cost plus 40 and you're going to like it. Well, if you add that up, say you do a lot of warranty work, how do you smile? How do you treat that customer when the manufacturer cuts you every step of the way? Well, now, Jim, every state has a law that you can take advantage of in the car business. And I'll give you an example. Wasn't that long ago, we had a New York dealer. New York dealer. So his volume was high, but he had $700,000 of a we got approved for that person, one rooftop.
One
700
one rooftop you recovered $700,000.
additional gross on warranty work
I mean,
over the
this is
next
this is
12
a
months.
check the manufacturer wrote to the dealer. This is not smoke and mirrors.
Yes, 702 grand. Now, is that a larger volume place? But if we added to that what we gave them advice on customer pay, we can't force them to change that, but we gave
Mhm.
them advice and guidance. Hey, you should tweak this, tweak that, look at this labor structure, and it far exceed a million, but 700 grand more on warranty.
And the existing employees haven't got the time or the resource to do this, correct?
That's correct. And really, we invested the money about 4 years ago now, 3, 4 years ago, to build a software from the ground up to do nothing but these warranty submissions.
Just warranty submissions to manufacturers.
That's it. And really, in this process, this software is so good, we're around 90% automated. So our competitors, where they say, yeah, we'll charge you a fee, but we want 10% of what we get you for the improvement. Now, if that guy I just talked about did that, he would pay the fee to do it plus 70 grand.
Oh my gosh. So we're talking 100 and something $1,000 just for that service with a competitor.
And we're saying, look, one price, no smoke, no mirrors. We'll help you every step of the way till you get improved, a reasonable price. They're paying these out. I looked at this guy. He paid that out, our fee out, in a little over a week.
Oh, unbelievable.
Can you imagine?
So just one facet of what you do. Now I know you
Yeah,
do service advisor training. I know you do processes in the service department. What's new? You know, you and I have done a couple broadcasts now. What's new with you?
man, we have so much going on. It's scary. But we're looking to align with companies that think similar customer care for dealership clients. We want to align with companies that have integrity and the belief and the structure in doing the right thing for the dealerships.
Well, I've been
So
doing business with you for a while now, and I've gotten to know you. I've gotten to know your employees, and I've gotten to know some of your customers. And I'll tell you what when you talk about ethics and integrity, I think of Fixed Performance Incorporated.
thank you. That's an honor,
You know,
and I do stand proud with that.
so anyway, what companies? Okay, you're aligning yourself with other companies like who?
Well, Wins Chemical
I
is
knew
one.
the
They
answer.
they invited me out to their national conference for distributors. Just got back Sunday, was out there 4 days. What a wonderful company. What a wonderful company. Now, we've been doing business with KT Automotive, and he's in Virginia, Maryland, down that way.
Okay.
And also, we're adding Wins distributors across the country. But we have Tori Fetzner, the Northeast Wins distributor, and they have agreed to an incredible deal. Now, Jim, normally we charge $495 to do what we call a test drive.
Okay. Well, a test drive. You can drive a car. What?
Okay, yeah, drive a car, but this drives your warranty. So the first step do we have any opportunity to
You're
get
going to
more
give
money?
people a live demonstration, and tell me about how that
We
works.
we pull 6 months of data on repair orders from the DMS that they have, and then we put it through our software, and it looks at 100 RO sequences, which is what we need to get the warranty for 6 months. And in 3 minutes, that data's diced and spliced and up there. So then we have one of our analysts. Shoot, that analyst might have 30 years of management experience. He looks at that and says, the software has identified this RO as one a human being should look at, see if it's qualified or not. And we can do that quickly. And it comes to a pretty close number of what the dealer can gain. Then let's say that's not a good return, then we'll go into the ROs and say, well, you're paying 2 hours for a job you're only charging $70 for. Does this make sense? And it drags your results down. So we literally do some coaching for improvement if they're open to it.
For $495.
$495. It's the biggest no-brainer. Now I can't say I do any profit with that number. Matter of fact, I probably have money I'm putting in on the table just to see what I can do to help that dealer.
Okay, so $495, I can't see you're making any money at that.
No. But if there's an opportunity.
And of course, if you can show people the value of your service for $495 and save them some money and show them some benefit in the meantime. Am I wrong?
No, you were right. And then let's say this, if it comes down to, I can get you $150,000 more from the manufacturer on warranty. My fee's $59.95. Would you give me $59.95 to get you $150,000?
How many of those deals can I get?
How many can you do a day? But
yeah, exactly.
It's simple.
So $59.95. Traditionally, we can actually prove 150,000, some number out there, right?
Yes. Now, when we get into the detail of it, sometimes we run into things like the dealers he may charge $150 an hour for technician labor, but if he discounts at $35, that comes up as we pull these ROs and prepare. And I tell you, our team will bring it to their attention. We can't get that money for them. So
we can certainly stop them from bleeding out every artery.
So stop discounting. We'll keep our feed live, and we'll relook at this after a month or so and get you the higher rate that you deserve. But stop doing that, please.
So if dealers will write you a check for $495, you will do one of your test drives, and your test drive has a value of what return for the dealer?
Well, if you look at what I just said, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if they just adjusted a couple of the customer pay issues that they may have, they don't even know. I remember one guy, we found a discount. He was discounting over $30,000 a month. And so I was talking to him.
Now the service manager's not going to go knocking on the dealer's door. Hey, boss, no.
Yeah, look at all I'm doing. And the dealer told me, I don't have any discount problem. I go, well, yeah, you do. Would you like us to go over individual repair orders with you?
Exactly. I mean, so for $495, if the dealer will pay that to you, you will do the test drive. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what you're hearing. And there's no telling what the value is. But if it was just to see where you are on customer pay and had nothing to benefit on warranty.
How is Winds involved?
Winds is a chemical company. Now they use for oil changes. A lot of dealers use them for used cars. They have used car kits. So if they put these chemicals in every used car, like transmissions, differentials, things like that, I think they guarantee that the major engine components and such go 30,000 miles without a repair.
So Winds puts a warranty on it?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, but they put a warranty on the results of their chemicals?
Yes.
Okay.
So the customer gets that benefit. Plus, a differential is a good example. It's one I use often. A differential might take $3,500 now to rebuild, even if you can get the parts. You know, right now the parts are a challenge.
Supply chain is a huge problem right now.
But say it's $160 to change the fluids and put some super lubricant in there, or it's $3,500 to rebuild. Which does a customer want to do? Yet it would shock you, Jim. No one brings these types of services. Well, I shouldn't say nobody,
Oh no, because they got thousands of customers. I'm familiar with
but
wins.
no one with a consistent basis lets the customer know the benefits.
Does Wins offer training on the benefits of their products?
Yes, they do. And really, I met one of their trainers for
Tell me about
advisor.
that conference. I want to hear more about that conference.
He
You and I
blew me
talked
away.
about it this week.
So this guy was there, one of their trainers, Brian Triglow, which he's in charge, I think, of the West Coast. Funny guy. But later on, I watched him in one of the seminars, and he starts talking and jumping up and down and yelling and screaming and caught everybody's attention. No one was sleeping, let me tell you that. And I said, that's probably one of the best 1 hour sessions I've ever seen. One of the best I've ever seen. And that includes me. But then later on, I see him sitting in a chair, Jim, and his foot's up. His foot's up on the chair, and his ankle's all swollen. Here the night before, he fell and injured his ankle. He's jumping up and down, yelling like that.
And he was in a fair amount of pain at the time.
Yes. I was blown away by it.
That is professionalism. I have done speeches when I was running 103 temperature. I mean, I've been so ill, but the show goes on. You know, always.
But you're scrolling across a couple really fine individuals down here.
Tell me
And
about
these
them.
and these Wins distributors, I saw Keith, he got the award for the #1 Wins distributor in North America.
So he's like Maryland, Virginia, that part of the country, right?
Yeah, #1 in North America. And Tori, I don't quote me on this, but I think he's #3. So here is a couple of the top distributors in North America.
Well, how are they participating with you? How are they helping you?
Well, they're helping me because, frankly, we have one strong thing in common. What can we do to help dealership clients? So if they're willing to pay for the dealer.
Oh no, don't no, come on, no. They're going to pay for what?
They're going to pay to see where you are at. If
The
you
test drive?
Yeah.
They're going to pay for the test drive.
Yes.
Now you should have told me that earlier. Wait a second. They're going to pay for the test drive.
Yeah.
$495. Scratch that. They're paying it.
How can you beat that? Now that's Northeast
why are people
United
not on their
States.
phones to these guys right now?
This just happened. This is just happening. Can you imagine? They're doing it to
Joe
prove
Haley's
that they
right.
care.
Yeah, listen. Why are people not calling these guys right now? Tori Fetzler and KT, is that his name? Let me see
Keith,
here.
yeah, Keith Tinkham.
Keith Tinkham. KT. Okay, there he is. Yeah, why are people not writing those numbers down, running to the cell phone? Don't listen to the rest of this broadcast. Get on the phone right now. Call these guys. I mean, they're going to pay for the free test drive.
It is fascinating to me, the opportunities that dealerships have. But let's take this when we look at Wins or any of the majors, but I have chosen to align with Wins products. Now, there are other chemical companies out there, And I'll tell you what I believe. I told them that I'm not going to entertain their competitors. Let's build an exclusive approach to help dealerships together that benefits everybody. And
But
that's
what
what
does fixed performance do other than the warranty audits?
we do on-site coaching. When we go on to a dealer, we might look at 2 years information of historical data before we even step foot in the building. Then we go in and say, here is a template of what we have that we can do. I know that their gross profit margin on labor is low. I know the customers, they're getting lost in the
You
system.
know, Rob, I know a lot of fixed operations consultants. I mean, I'm not in that end of the business, but I know a lot of people that are in your business, and they don't have the statistical backup. I mean, I have not seen a lot of fixed operations consulting companies that even get involved in the stats. They get
Well,
involved in the process, but not the stats.
we get in like parts departments, aged inventories. What do you do with the old inventories? We're matter of fact, how do you get rid of that stuff? You might have 200,000, I've seen as much as $500,000 worth of old parts inventory sitting on a shelf. They hadn't sold in over a year and a half. Some of it 20 years old.
Aged inventory.
Yeah. What good is it?
Well,
If it hasn't,
there's got to be a wholesale outlet that'll take that off the dealer's hands at a discount. But
there are ways to do it, but most dealers let it sit there and collect dust. Then
yeah,
they don't track what the technicians are asking for. So every time a tech comes ask for a part, they're having to go fish for it. Well, after a certain time, if you don't track it, shouldn't it be on the shelf when the tech asks for something? And then the tech has to go back in the shop, put the vehicle back together. Customer picks it up if they can, drives it, and then they have to disassemble it again
when the part comes in,
when the part comes in. Now, who pays that tech? If your answer is nobody, you're right.
and we wonder why they leave.
Yeah, and so special tools. We go into a lot of places, and they might have $200,000 in special tools from the factory, 200 grand. But then they're in boxes or strewn all over the place. So when a technician needs one, they go out back, try to find that tool. Guess what? It isn't there. It isn't where it's supposed to be. So the technician starts losing time. I need that tool to do this job under warranty most of the time. And reduced times under that, right? We talked about it. And they can't find the tools. Or the equipment in the shop is busted up. The techs keep trying to use it because they don't think they have a voice. If they bring it up, it won't happen anyway. So we're kind of a common thread for the dealer. We go in, look at the operations. What can you do to be better?
So
What
this is
can
a
we?
report to the general manager. This is a report to the dealer principal and the service directors involved.
Yes, we'll coach them one-on-one. Parts managers, body shops. We get involved with paint contracts. So if a dealer has a paint
Wait a minute.
vendor,
Wait. Paint contracts. Come on.
yeah, for
You get,
I just agreed to
you're into
do
the
it.
minutia of running a service department.
Service parts body shops. If it's fixed
Okay.
stops, we're in it. So this guy, we just agreed to help him. He was in he's second generation or third actually, and Dad signed him some agreements 10, 15 years ago that weren't the best. They agreed to buy $2.5 million worth of paint. They're still trying to work through that. And that's just a bad deal. So I said, I'll get involved with the vendor. I'll be kind. I'll be polite. But Jim, I'm going to be frank and say, that agreement just isn't right. Let's get this agreement right and save the client for you. Do the right thing.
And how was that received?
Do the right thing, and you'll keep this dealership client. Overall, it's not easy. I remember one time a company got up, and I thought he was going to hit me. I happened to be in the same room with him. I thought he was going to hit me. Like, oh, you calling me a crook? I didn't say that. You did. I'm just saying your agreement's not good. Let's redo it. And sometimes, Jim, and we talk about getting money. If a dealer told me, can you get me money from my paint vendor? I've gotten $250,000 from a paint vendor that paid the dealership $250,000 cash. Now, that was a negotiated agreement, advance paying discounts. Do you want that money? I can get it in discount percentages or cash. What do you prefer?
My head's about to explode, Rob.
Well, in this, I don't know where it comes from. I will say this. When you look at efficiencies in your shop,
Mm-hmm.
and your technicians standing around waiting for work at 8 o'clock, then at 3:30, the work stops coming in. Well, those techs are standing around. Who's paying them? And then you wonder why they're not happy or they have
Downtime cost everybody.
Yes. You can't store it in a freezer. You can't refrigerate it and pull it out. You use it or it's nothing. No revenue.
You can't sell yesterday's hotel room.
Exactly right. And so when we get into these things, if we can help technicians turn more money, if we can help dealerships with scheduling, warranty submissions, paint contracts, parts inventories, parts margins, labor margins, you add all these things together, it doesn't take long to pull together.
And the average car on the road today is out there for 14 years.
It's going to get worse. And you've talked
It's going
about
to get
this.
worse.
Yes.
The manufacturers are doing away with gasoline operated vehicles, and people are hanging on to them. So guess what? Internal combustion engines are going to break down. We're going to need more parts, more repairs, more specialized training. I mean, it's only going to be more profitable. Fixed operations is going to save the industry.
And we're coming into in my view, we're coming into some tough times. These people that bought these used vehicles at $30,000 more than their real value.
Oh my gosh, yes, they did.
Now,
They still are. They still are.
Yeah, 2 years from now, a year and a half, maybe even sooner, they're going to want to trade out of that vehicle and the dealer's going to look them in the eye and say, yeah, give me a check for 30 and then we'll get you in the new car.
We just invented a whole new category of upside down. Oh my gosh.
And they're going to end up saying, I'll fix it. I'll maintain it.
We're not selling cars, we're performing weddings.
But when you get into fixed absorption, which is one of my favorite thoughts, and you say to a dealer, it all comes down, rather than money.
What does absorption mean?
Fixed absorption is the amount of money that service parts and body shops are making, they're generating as a percentage to the overall dealership cost to open. So if a dealer's at 40% that's a terrible number. But if they're at 100, they don't even need to sell a car.
How much of the dealership's operation does the fixed operations department support?
Yes. And the higher that number is, these tough times that are coming up won't be so tough.
And you should be seeing 70, 80, 90% right now, especially the way things are right now. Dealers can't get cars. There's no cars on the lot. I had Frank Crinity on one of my broadcasts yesterday. He one of the top salesmen in the country. He generally sells 150 cars a month. A month. He's one of the top salespeople in the country. He sold 92 last month.
That's
And,
awesome.
I mean, so but look at the drop. I mean, he's about 60 cars off his normal pace, and he's the best.
Well, the reason I say that's awesome, because he's understanding now more than ever. I better focus in on service parts and body if he's got it. Because no matter what
Well,
your
his deal,
sales,
yeah, he's with Piazza up in Springfield, Philadelphia.
but if you look at it and say, if every dealer understands, hey, there could be some tough times coming ahead.
Mm-hmm.
The wise dealers are saying, what can I do to get more fixed absorption?
And if I was an independent dealer right now, I would start getting into the fixed operations business.
Exactly right.
Independents need to start operating more like franchise dealers.
That's exactly right. But when we look at opportunities, can you imagine? Like, we don't even recommend brake fluid services. A lot of the manufacturers across the world say every 2 years you should get your brake fluid serviced. That fluid draws moisture. Now,
I've never serviced my brakes.
well, then it's full of water.
Nobody ever recommended it.
There you go.
That
That's
yeah,
my
that,
point.
that I set you up for that one. Teed you right up. Yeah.
So when you look at what are we not recommending to people? What preventive maintenance? I have batteries. Batteries last about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we recommend maintenance replacements before they fail?
Well, I know when to replace my battery. Now,
Is that when
yeah.
it's towed into the dealer?
When it's being towed in, I need a new battery.
But here's the
The
truth.
service advisor never told me to do that.
Yes,
The service advisor never suggested it. They didn't walk out there with a menu or a pad and say, "Look, this is what you need to do. This is what we recommend." And which package do you prefer? I mean, no, that's not happening out there.
correct. But if you look at all of these opportunities and you add them all up, it doesn't matter if it's $1 million. It's a whole bunch of money that's better off in your checkbook than lost in space.
The problem is, Rob, and I'll tell you, I've dealt with thousands and thousands of dealers, every state except Alaska. Dealers envision the service department as one profit center. They don't know that it's a bunch of sub-profit centers. They don't look at it like the different departments are all separate profit centers, and that they don't look at them as a standalone entity. The body shop, the parts department, they don't look at other avenues. Where the profits coming from.
I've heard it said, and I hate to even bring this up. I've heard dealers and general managers say, "Hey, sir, I don't like service. Don't understand it. I don't like it. If it went off the back of that building and I had nothing there, I'd be okay with it.
Well,
But
yeah,
gotta have it."
that's why I personally never became a dealer because I didn't understand service. It wasn't that I didn't like service. I was afraid of it. I was a record-setting manager, top-level manager with some of the biggest dealerships in the country, but I never became a dealer because I did not understand service.
Now, if you knew me back then,
Mm-hmm.
well, you might have a chain of those. But when we look at the current environment, believe me, I followed what you're saying about the dealership and the future of dealerships with the EVs. If you look at what the future is, man, it's time to rock and roll on service parts and body. Get that straight, get that, bring it in as much as possible because times are going to get to be rough real soon.
You know, a lot of people saying we're looking at a recession. If we're looking at a recession, sales are going to dwindle, but service will always be there. We're still going to need to have repairs done when repairs need to be done.
And then the industry's facing challenges in our backside of the business. Uh, where do you find technicians? But how do you attract technicians? How do you develop technicians? How do you retain technicians? These are questions. A technician can bring in 20 grand in gross profit a month. Now, if you need 3 techs,
You've got $60,000 sitting there on the table because you need 3 techs, and you can't recruit 3 techs. You can't develop 3 techs. Your local high school doesn't have a program to develop technicians. You don't have an apprentice program. Where are you going to get them?
yeah, and that's the kind of things that we get involved with our clients on
I know.
on consulting is how are you going to get that? What's the best way to get that tech? We've got that. What's the best way to dump that inventory? We can help with that. But they don't have generally people internally that have those kinds of experiences over
Or
long periods of time.
that skill set, and you've got a whole team that makes up that skill set, not just one individual. Or and the beauty of doing business with Fixed Performance is you're doing business with dealers all over the country. You're seeing best practices. You know, I worked with thousands of dealerships, and it wasn't all because I was so brilliant. It was because I had experiential observation. I had seen the best practices at this dealership, another city. See, your service director, and your local people, they're in their own little world. You at Fixed Performance have a much larger world that you can see best practices in all sorts of markets.
And
Am I wrong?
one of the things I'm very proud of when it comes to my team, and I can't say it just strongly enough, except to say I have never experienced a group like this that is so into helping each other. So if one of our people's on site somewhere at Billy Bob Chevrolet in Missouri, and there's a question that he doesn't know, there's no egos involved. Hey, has anyone run into this? Boom.
Well, how
Yes.
good are your people? Now, that's the problem everybody has with a consulting company or a training company. The head guy, he is a superstar. But what's backing him up? How good are your people?
I'll say this. They're better than I ever was. And and
Wait
I
a second. I think
I
you're the best I've envisioned. Come on.
well, I'll say this to you. I surround no an ego about it. Try to surround myself with people smarter than me. And I don't say that that's a bad thing. That's a blessing, man. That's where I want to live. Surround yourself with talent and then let them be the talent that they are.
So, in a roundabout way, I think you're saying you've got some pretty good people.
Way, way above averages. And I'm blessed that way. But then the reason I think we have such a great team is I'm focusing on them. What do they need? We had this month, we had 3 on vacation. Well, gosh, people like vacations in the summer. Or if you have family events, what's more important? Is that person that's a part of your team, do they feel that they're valued enough to be part of decisions made that affect them? Are they valued enough to say family's always going to be first with us? That's
Oh
where
yeah.
that's where I am with them.
When I was actively in the business and later on as a consultant, one of the first things I advised dealers, and one of the things I implemented in dealerships that I had influence in when I was a manager, is we created quality work schedules. And I
Yes.
can and how many dealerships need additional shifts?
Oh man, is that an important question?
Of course it is.
Yeah. So the question is, uh, I need more building or I need more shifts. But isn't it interesting, Jim, that the building's there 24 hours a day and it's used 8, 9 hours a day?
And there are techs working for other companies that would probably moonlight with you.
Uh, tech, techs, maybe not, but we have service management people and we have fixed ops directors across the country
I'm talking about the dealers now. Yeah,
that they have, hey, can I earn some extra income? You bet, we'll help you do that.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
And in this, if it benefits them, they'll send their friends, they'll send their family, they'll they'll take care of us too.
Fantastic. Well, anyway, I want to get back to a subject we started on earlier. Let's talk about wins.
Okay,
Okay, now we got Tori Fetzner, Torrifetzn.
Terry, Terry,
Tori is it Terry or Tori?
Tori.
I
It was a
know
test, Jim. It
I
was a
know him
test.
better than you do. Tor,
He's a new family member.
Tori Fetzner and who is the other one?
Keith
KT is
Tinkham.
very good, and I got their phone number scrolling across the screen. Keith Tinkham. If they will call these guys, they will pay for the test drive.
Yes, and then the dealer will get the opportunity to sit down, really look at their results, see where they are. If they can go and get an extra $200,000 in the next 12 months, it'd be
Even if
nice
you're
to know.
using another service, fixed operations company, um, if they will pay for Rob and team to do a complete analysis for a $495 value, and they will pay it, don't you want to know?
Yeah,
Me,
and the
I
other side of this too is this software is so good. I know I'm bragging about it. We had a guy in Iowa, Ford dealer out in Iowa, a competitor, the number one person that does these, number one. He said to this dealer, "You've got no opportunity. Have a nice day." We ran that data through our system.
you did what?
We ran his information through our software, found him 70 grand.
And one of your competitors said they couldn't help him.
Yes. So guess what? He's a new client.
So anyway, tell me more about wins. You just got back from this big conference. How many people were there?
I would say 180 distributors and sales staff.
Real that many?
Yeah.
Where was this?
Dallas, Texas.
Okay,
Man, was it hot out there. I don't know if
thank
you
God.
saw the weather.
Thank God it wasn't in Vegas. I'd hate to hear about you in Vegas.
It was like 105 degrees. I go outside and I
Oh,
go, "What kind of oven is this?"
Texas has some. Texas has some interesting weather. I've done a lot of work in Texas.
And they say it's a dry heat. I always come back with,
Uh,
"So's a blowtorch, but I don't inhale it."
Isn't that the truth? So 180 people were there, and what kind of presentations did they do other than the obvious fixed operations presentations? What did you hear?
Well, I heard them focusing in on customer care,
All
on
right, the
how do we
experience, the
how do we take
experience.
care of that customer? How do we
I,
look at preventive maintenance in a unique fashion?
I imagine waiting time was part of it.
Waiting time is part of it, but when you're out there, there's so much that they're presenting. You have to focus in on what's most important. And for me, I presented this. What's Wins going to do to attract new business? And that's a pitch. Help the dealer. Help the dealer on warranty. Help them understand what's available to them, and you'll have a client for life.
Go in with a solution.
Yes. And become part of the team that builds on their success. That's wins.
So if they will call Tori Fetzter or Keith Tinkham, numbers are on the screen. They will pay for a complete analysis for how long? How far back do you go?
6 months.
6 months of ROs,
Yes.
and you'll present a figure that you think you could recover.
Yes. Now again, if they have issues internally and they're discounting, that comes off. I don't play games. It comes off and I tell them, all right, we told you we'll get you this number, but man, you didn't mention you were discounting so heavy. So we're down to here.
Are
Or
most dealers aware that they're discounting?
no,
Most dealers have no idea what kind of discounts are being offered in the back end.
correct.
But
And
they can tell you on this in the sales department.
that I don't know.
Yes, they can. I mean, we're measuring. The CRMs don't even measure that. See, that's the thing. The CRMs will pinpoint performance in the sales department, but the CRMs do not do what your software does.
Well, the other thing is we'll break it down by advisor. So we can say this advisor, he's $10 less on his labor rate than your other four.
And you
So
can even break down where they're falling short, what they're weak on, what they're strong on.
yes, we can also look at individual RO numbers. So if someone's got an issue, we can quickly tell them, here's a list of 10 or whatever ROs that
Mhm.
you should look at and get explanations from your team. Now you can imagine if you start looking at this stuff, what happens to your margins? Start climbing.
Yeah, profitability has always been my forte, and like I say, I'm totally a lost person when dealing with fixed operations. I mean, I
Well,
look at
watch
what you.
this. Here's what happens.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Um, oh no. I'm $150 over my estimate. Let's back that labor rate down. Oh, now I'm $20 under. Print.
No.
Who looks at that? Who understands it?
So they are negotiating. Yeah, they're negotiating on the service drive.
Yeah, I had one guy. I actually was at a store. I'm looking at discounts. He had a $1,700 brake job on this RO, discounted at $1,700. Zero.
Zero.
Now, does that guy deserve a job?
Well, oh,
Did
well,
he take 600 on the side and say, now your bill's zero? I don't
well,
know.
once again, I'm looking at the supervisor.
Well, if they're not looking and no one thinks they're looking, Jim, and if you look at the amount of customers coming through, the hours or dollars per RO, if you have $2,000 that's lost by one advisor, and you might have 10 advisors, that's $250,000 a year.
Rob, as a general manager, I don't manage. I don't manage salespeople. I don't manage employees. I manage managers. Managers manage employees. And when I manage managers, I manage them to manage their employees. Does that make sense?
Yes. And
You
so
know,
many times they're caught up in the struggles of the day. They go around like, put out this fire, put out that fire, but they don't look at, all right, what's making all these fires? And that's where we make the difference. That's where we make the real difference. If you have your operation, so instead of putting out fires, they're taking care of people, they win. And wins, I tell you, I'm so impressed with that company as to who they are as individuals. They really do care about their dealer clients and want them to prosper.
I'm just amazed that they'll pay the $500 for the test drive where they can get you can get a complete analysis of 6 months of your ROs and what kind of money we can recover.
Isn't that something? I mean, who does that? People that care.
Dealers, pay attention. General managers, hey, pay attention here. Think about it. You make a call to either one of these people scrolling across the screen, they will pay for an analysis. What if I gave you $60,000, $70,000 for nothing because you picked up a phone? Excuse me. Uh, do it right now. Don't even listen to the rest of this broadcast. Just write that number down and call either one of these gentlemen. They'll pay for your analysis. What are you thinking?
And if you're going to have a vendor that takes an incentive into developing your profits, that's rare. That is rare, isn't it?
You know, I've got a lot of friends, a lot of clients in the business. Very, very few people will do that. You've been a friend and a client for a while, and you're one of the very few people that I know that will do this. It's amazing.
And these people aren't paying me to have their numbers scrolling across the screen. Do you know why I'm doing that? Because I care about them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it works in my world is if we care for each other, then I know that will bring the prosperity that we desire in the end.
I've got a lot of clients in the business, a lot of clients, and you can't pay me enough money to do what we're doing right now if I don't think you're ethical and I don't think you're upright. I don't need the money so badly that I would do a broadcast like we're doing right now if I didn't believe in the product and the service. And Rob, I believe in what you do.
Well, thank you, and I do as well. The way I describe it is passion, and if you have a passion for helping others, and I do in more ways than most, but if you have a true passion to serve and assist and make a difference in people's lives, You're okay with me. You're okay with me.
Well, this has been just one heck of a great experience. I always like visiting with you. You and I, we we talk on the air and off the air. We visit quite often. So anyway, the numbers on the screen right now, ladies and gentlemen, dealers and managers, make the call. A free test drive analysis of 6 months of your ROs and what kind of money you can recover. $1 million. The man on the screen with me, Rob Gehring of Fixed Performance, he claims that he can save most dealerships and recover from most dealerships $1 million annually. $1 million annually, and even if it's only a portion of that, half of that, how far ahead would you be? The first step: pick up the phone, call either one of the gentlemen listed on the screen below. They will pay Rob's company to do a 6-month RO analysis on your dealership and what kind of money you can recover. It doesn't get any better than that. Rob, is there anything we haven't told people this broadcast? Anything we haven't said?
You know, Jim, we covered a lot of topics.
Yes,
But
we did.
if it comes down to one thing, if
Mhm.
you need to focus on fixed ops, don't sit in your chair and do nothing. Get up, go to our website, fixedperformance.com, call the people, get people that know how to direct you and guide you. It doesn't mean you have to know it. You just have to know where to go to get it. And we can provide that information, and we'll bring you on like family.
Information will spur profitability.
Yes. Share information, and then that lets them see if it's a good fit. But
Fantastic.
we get results. We get results, and that's where it is. That's where to live.
Well, Rob, this has been one heck of a great visit. I mean, you and I were like, I'm sitting in my easy chair, like I forget that we have an audience out there. I forget that there's people watching this broadcast. I mean, it's just you and I having a conversation about fixed performance. You know, we talked about the people at wins. We talked about the test drive. We talked about the profit centers where you can pick up additional recovered money and stop the bleeding out of every artery of discounting. See, that's something you said to me today that you haven't said in previous broadcasts. I hadn't realized how deeply some service departments are discounting the services. That blew my mind. Is that widespread?
Yes. Yeah, it is. And if you're not looking, it's just like taking it right out of your checkbook. Is it any different?
Yeah, I can't believe. Like I say, I manage managers, and I'm looking at managers and saying, why don't we know this?
It's fascinating to me. But we've done it 20 years now. Can you imagine on-site coaching? I know you can. You probably doubled that. And
Well, I don't know if I doubled it. I was actively in dealerships until 5 years ago. I was still traveling. I don't do it right now, but I'm still in the business. But my God, from 1986, and remember I was 11 years in the business before that. From 1986 until now, I've been consulting dealers.
that's amazing. What a history.
You and I could talk about the evolution and things we've seen change in the business. People often ask me, well, how was it back in 1976 when you first walked in the dealership? You know, back in 1976, it wasn't computerized. It was incredible. I mean, just we were paper driven, and
Yes.
it was quite a bit different.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of trends and a lot of paradigm shifts. It
Well,
has changed a lot.
one thing in this business, it's going to always be changing. But
Mhm.
I'll close by saying this: the dealership with the best fixed ops wins. And that's not a total pun, but yet kind of.
The dealership with the best fixed op, especially now.
Yes.
Excuse me. Right now, the things that are happening in our industry, the sales departments. Okay, so you're making $20,000 a sale on the few sales you have. If a recession hits, and there's a strong possibility that we're already entering a recession. If a recession hits and somebody turns that faucet off immediately, you better have your fixed operations tuned.
Yes. Or it's a huge loss quickly.
Rob, say goodbye to the audience.
Have a wonderful day, all.